Well, guys, we need to talk about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis here in this video. I am a huge fan of the job that Ron DeSantis is doing over there in Florida. This man is tremendous. He is the best governor in this country, and I truly do believe he's going to be a future president of the United States. It's only going to be a matter of time before that happens. Well, this is somewhat of a follow-up video, I guess you can say, to a video that I put up last week where the left is really freaking out about Ron DeSantis actually banning this woke Black history course. And actually, guys, technically, the history course isn't actually being eliminated. They have to revise it. Now, when it comes to Black history, the wokes out there are trying to implement gender theory, queer theory, all of this LGBT stuff into Black history. Now, why is it when we actually study like American history, the wokes don't have a problem when that stuff is not actually in it, but they got a major problem with it when it comes to Black history? And you know what, guys, I got to be honest. We're our own worst enemy when it comes to this whole thing in Florida right here. I believe a lot more Black people need to be speaking up about this, because what the left is pushing is a complete lie, but your woke Black people are going along with the lie that Ron DeSantis is actually banning Black history. And it's just not the case. He is trying to stop the propaganda from being put in there. Now, why, as me as a Black person, if I take Black history, and by the way, Ron DeSantis said that Black history is actually required in Florida. But why do I have to learn about queer theory and other leftist stuff when talking about Black history? Why can't we just stick to the topic at hand and the facts? But the activists have definitely infiltrated the school system nationwide. And this needs to stop. That brings us to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith actually has his own podcast right here on YouTube called the No Mercy Podcast. And the YouTube channel is actually Stephen A. Smith Podcast. Well, Stephen A. Smith is pretty triggered by Ron DeSantis actually blocking this woke AP Black history course. Now, I said it before, guys, that Stephen A. Smith, he tends to pander to his audience when he's actually over there on First Take. He definitely tends to be more left, but when he's on with Sean Hannity, he seems to be much more to the middle or slightly right. Now, Stephen A. Smith said himself that he's not right, he's not left, he's somewhere in the middle. Well, Stephen A. Smith actually has an episode of his No Mercy podcast is actually titled Stephen A. Smith, Ron DeSantis, and Black People. And I'm pretty surprised, folks, that Stephen A. Smith actually does know that queer theory is being pushed on this Black history course. But he still has a problem with Ron DeSantis actually trying to stop that. I mean, the LGBT plus LMLP XYZ activists, they want to try to groom your kids. Ron DeSantis doesn't want any of that being pushed on children. Now, when I learned American history, I didn't learn about the history of sexuality. That wasn't a part of American history. Just like it's not a part of Black history. Well, guys, we got to go over this little bit of a clip here from Stephen A. Smith's podcast right here. He talked about Ron DeSantis. He also talked about AOC. He actually mentioned that he liked AOC, but he blasted her for being upset about Ilhan Omar actually being removed from her committee. But here we go. This is the little bit of the clip here. We're going to watch it right here. Stephen A. Smith. Let's roll it.
Ron DeSantis, did you hear the story? I mean, we got critics all over Florida going off, accusing him of trying to rewrite history by rejecting African-American studies. Reading from the National Public Radio right now. Florida's Department of Education, under the leadership of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, rejected an advanced placement course on African American studies. The decision is leading to a wave of backlash across the country from other state lawmakers to labor unions and even a potential lawsuit. Again, I'm reading.
It's all leftist, by the way.
From NPR. Feminism. Gay issues. Transgender issues. And all of this other stuff. You got some people sitting up there saying, hey, everything's a part of African American history. How dare he take that position? I have taken that position. My attitude is very, very simple. I don't want some white man or white woman telling black people what qualifies as African American studies.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Why don't we actually do this with other history? Now, here in Texas, we learn quite a bit about Texas history, which is actually influenced from Mexican history, since Texas was a part of Mexico. Never once did LGBT history come into play. Queer theory never came into play. Why is it okay to push this in Black history when it has nothing to do with that? Stephen A. Smith, man, I'm pretty disappointed in him on this. He says he doesn't need a white guy telling black people about African American history. But that stuff has nothing to do with Black history. This is nothing more than propaganda that they want to push out there. It's not history. I mean, for one thing, queer theory, what is a theory? A theory is not based in fact. It is a theory. It becomes fact when it's actually proven as law. You know, like Newton's law versus, now I studied economics. There's all different schools of economics. And also I studied music theory. There's a lot of music theories out there. Stephen A. Smith, this is bad right here. This is pretty bad. Stephen A. Smith has a voice. And he's perfectly okay with your little kids learning about transgenderism. Really? Really, Stephen A.? What does that have to do with Black history? That has nothing to do with, this is activism. This is left-wing activism being pushed on kids. I mean, last time I checked, LGBT, that wasn't just a Black thing. There's white people that are LGBT, Asians, Latinos, Hispanics. But he's perfectly okay with this propaganda being pushed on kids. And he's outraged with Ron DeSantis for trying to stop the wokeness, stop the indoctrination of children. Ron DeSantis has been pretty clear about that. All of this activism, all this propaganda needs to stop. Teach the facts. They just want your kids to become activists. Nothing more. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We will catch you next time.